Hey, this is Tim Cummins, and welcome back to another Story Tim, where I tell my favorite stories from my 50 years here on the planet. This story is about camping in Naivasha. Naivasha is one of the lakes in the Rift Valley. It is a freshwater lake, as opposed to Lake Nakuru, which is a saline lake. That's the one that's famous for all the flamingos. But Lake Naivasha is a place where we used to go camping and had a lot of fishing and stuff. In fact, that's really where I first got to know tilapia. Tilapia came from that area in East Africa. And I can remember I was with the little kids. I had Ashley and Jesse, and they were both maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7, something like that. They weren't very old. And so we decided we were going to take them camping. Now, my wife's idea of camping is let's stay at the lodge. So we got a little cabana kind of thing where Kathy stayed. And so it was me and Ashley and Jesse. We were outside in the tent on the shores of Lake Naivasha. Now, if you were to ask yourself what animal kills most people in Africa, what would you say that was? Anyway, you might say, well, it's the mosquito because that carries malaria. Yes, that would be true. That does kill the most as an insect. But I would think about animals. What would you think? Maybe you would think, well, it might be lions eating people or elephants that might stomp on people or some of those. Actually, very few of those actually happen. The one that kills the most people is actually hippos. What we call Kiboko, which is a river horse. And you know, you would think about hippos as being kind of a big old fat thing that doesn't move very fast. That's not true at all. They're actually quite fast even on land. They would be able to outrun most people, but normally when people get hurt is because they're in the water in these male hippos territory where the mama hippo has her baby and they don't like that. And then they've just got these enormous jaws that'll close, and they got these, their teeth that just like close down just like a scissor. They would just cut you right in half. So of course I had a tremendous respect for hippos. Now most people would also think, well, hippos are probably, they eat maybe fish or something. You'd think you're in the water all the time. Another thing, it's a misconception because hippos are basically nocturnal, and at the nighttime they come out and they graze like cows. They come out and they might walk, half a mile from the river to eat grass and stuff like that. Or obviously they've got an enormous amount of, bulk to feed. So I can remember we would be in that thing and we would hear this, which would be Kiboko. It'd be these hippos, So, of course, the kids were rather alerted by this because, they had heard stories about stuff like this. And we would hear those hippos were actually around the tent. And, we were all kind of freaked out because you don't know what they're going to do, bust in the tent or something like that. So we kind of like, sitting there walking around at you. And you would hear them walk around like this. And Judge said, just be quiet, kids. They'll be okay. They ain't going to come in here. They ain't looking for us. They're just looking for something to eat. So sure enough, we just stood quiet and we could listen to them chomping the grass, and they walked around us and stuff like this. And we were like, wow, man, that is wild, And sure enough, the next morning we got up and they all go back into the water in the daytime where it's cooler and they feel safe, And so we got there and sure enough, man, there were just hippo tracks all around us. And the kids were like, boy, we sure are glad they didn't eat us, Daddy. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And that was another Story Tim.